welcome back. I'm showing you, we're in part 2 now. This was from part 1, the cover, so if you missed that, go back and watch that video if you're interested in it. But this is part 2 where we're doing the pages inside. So first I'm showing you some things I've just gathered together, random tags, paint swatches, book pages, pockets, painty papers, scrapbook papers. I have pulled these books that I rip stuff out of. This is a record book. I love the pages inside. And then my dad gave me this one. He is so sad that I'm going to rip pages out. So Dad, if you're watching, look away. But first we need to figure out the template for it. And this took me a while. So what I'm doing right here is trying to measure like how deep in do I want the holes to be. And so now I've decided, I think I decided on 3/8, and so I'm marking here 3/8 so I can mark them down the side. Now I knew that this piece of cardboard was already square, so I didn't have to worry about it. But if you're doing the same thing, you might want to make sure yours is square. So now this I kind of struggled with, like how am I going to put the holes in the exact right place? So I'm like, maybe I put them behind and then draw it. And I was like, well, now I don't know if it's in, I couldn't see the line, blah, blah, blah. So I just kind of laid it on there so it looked visually centered top to bottom, and then marked the lines where the holes were, or marked some dots where the holes were. I'm checking through the holes to see if they do fit. That's why I went off camera there for a minute. I put these in off camera, I thought. Nope. Okay, so I'm using 1/4" holes and I'm punching. I love this thing from We Are Memory Keepers. I use it all the time. So now I have that, and I'm marking how high it is because I knew that it fit exactly perfectly in there. And now I'm seeing about how wide. So I wrote down my dimensions, so I knew when I was making my pages that at most they can only be 8.75 inches high and 7 inches wide. So now I'm starting to pull things out for pages. I was like, ooh, these are long, but that means that I can make pockets out of them. Or I could just cut them to size if I didn't want to make pockets. But whenever anything's long, you'll see that I try and do something fun with it. A flip out, a pocket, something like that. So that's what I'm doing here is I'm making a pocket. I will tape them later, but first I need to trim them to size. I wanted to keep those lines. I think they're super cute, and so that's why I'm kind of fussing with the trimming here. I also wanted to keep that number in top right because I quite like those as well. That's what I'm showing you. So I'm going to make another pocket here, but this one's not going to be the same depth, I don't believe. So I mark it at that height. So the page is still the same height, but then I end up cutting off the bottom of the page here, so the pocket itself is not as deep. See, that one's not quite as deep. Just for a little bit of interest and difference, I'm trimming this one as well, so it's not too wide. Normally I'd love to keep those torn edges. I love them, but I couldn't. But here I can. These are almost, I think they're exactly the right size, so I can keep them exactly as is, including the torn edges. So I will set them, or maybe I trim the very, very bottom of them off. Yeah, just a hair. Okay, now the dictionary pages, maybe these are the ones that are almost exactly the right size. So here I am, I'm just being picky. I could pick any pages, but sometimes it's fun to have interesting words on them. So I just pulled 2 here, knowing that if I needed more of these pages, I can pull them out. I was like, these are fine. I was like, well, maybe I'll cut off just a hair, and I did. Leaving the torn edges because I like that look. You could cut them off. Here's one that's long in a different way, so I figure I want to make a flippy flap, and I'm struggling because I want to use the straight edge to make the flippy flap like straight, but I can't because the top edge is torn. So I ended up just kind of eyeballing it, and I did move it in, so it's shorter than a normal page, but that's okay because I wanted the flap to be a little deeper than it would have been otherwise. And so here I am trying to figure out what to do. Every time I come to a big piece of paper, what do I do? So I love the idea I came up with here. I make it into 2 pages, and they're kind of, the first one's a little shorter, but what I'm doing, you'll see later, I do it a little differently. Now this guy, again, I was about to cut it, and I was like, no, wait, let's make another flippy flap. And I love that too. I love the look of it. I like that it's deeper. I cut this off. I love the wood grain, so I've set it aside to use later. Looking at the back side of this, and decide that I will just make this a page of the right size. Setting aside, you see I'm setting aside the small pieces, and that's so I can use them later when I'm decorating the pages. Here's another one that I'm making basically 2-page size pieces. They're a little smaller so I can make them even. I really like that branding strip, so I wanted to keep it, and that's what I'm trying to do here. So I'm making another pocket. You'll notice I use my trimmer to score things and make a pocket. I'm just lazy and don't want to have an extra scoreboard. I didn't like the other side of the branding strip, but I figured I could cover it up, and I will. And I was checking to make sure that the height of this piece would still mean that it could have 2 holes in it, and it did. Now here I'm going to be making a pocket of a different sort, a little angled pocket. And so first I fold it in half, and you see me, that's where my angle is going to be, but first I need to make sure the page is not too tall. And then I just kind of eyeball the angle and cut it. Now I have a pocket. I will tape these together later. So that was just some extra paper that I put to the side. There was my page. Again, just another plate. Now here I am. I picked out the one piece that I thought I might be able to use and threw away the rest. So now I'm not going to show you all of this, but this is me marking the holes. It was just quicker to mark them. So here I am finally doing my pockets. I'm using this Sequang tape that I got from Amazon. It's very comparable to Redline tape. It's very strong, and that's what I use to make pockets in things that are going to be handled, and it's held up really well so far. Marking on. I will not show you all of this because and here I am flipping it around. Which way did I want it to face up? And that's why I was doing that. Now here I am. I'm going to assemble this pocket. I'm making sure the tape is wide enough. First I make the pocket. I am burnishing them whenever I remember to because it helps it to stick so much better. And now I hate that I end up covering that pink at the bottom, but in the end it's cute. So burnish. Now this one I needed it to overlap the tape, which is why I took the tape off first and then stuck the second one down. And that's so that this guy can cover that up. Now that looks good. And then here I am deciding which side do I want to be the front of the page. Now here is that page I wanted to show you. So here I am scoring it, and now I'm going to basically tape that inside together, but first I wanted to know where the holes were so that I wasn't punching through tape. Okay, now here are all my pages. My last page here, I'm keeping that. That's my template, but I'm gluing on top of it. It's going to go in the back. I'll explain a little bit more later, but I'm gluing my pocket to this. Again, using that heavy-duty tape so that it doesn't come off. I use 3 strips of it. I am covering up my info, but I did write it on the back side, do not worry, so it is still there. Burnish, burnish, burnish. It is so satisfying watching somebody pull the tape off, but I find doing it in real life very frustrating and not so satisfying. So here we go. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, I believe, I'm looking to see if I need to paint over anything, and I missed one right there. I didn't look at the back, but I'm putting to the right anything that needs to be gessoed over. And I showed you a little bit, but this took forever, a lot of drying in between. I just wanted to show you here, I don't cover the whole thing. I just kind of gave myself a writing spot so I could leave the rest of that fun background there. But for these dictionary pages, I do end up covering most of the page because it is so busy and difficult to work with. Showing you I'm done, and that had a little pink on it. It was a happy accident. Now what I'm doing is kind of looking at the pages, and I'm going to put them in the order that they're going to go in my book. Now this is more important when you're doing a bound book that you can't change later. This one's not as important, but you see I'm kind of looking at them side by side to make sure it kind of floats. See, here's one I need to do gesso later, I told you. I want to make sure it flows and that they kind of make sense together side by side. Like I don't have 2 flippy flappy side by side. I don't have 2 of those sheets of paper side by side. I don't want 2 pockets side by side. I kind of want to spread everything out. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm playing around with things. And just making sure I like the way that they look together. Okay, almost done. I kind of struggled here at the end. I kept trying to stick that last piece in, but now I just have an extra. I'll keep it off to the side. I'm giving you a little flip through so you can see what I ended up with. I quite like it as I go through. I think I was like, well, maybe I can bring that paper in here. No. How about to cover up some of this green? Nope, that looks odd. This side. Nope. I didn't want it next to those lines. I did like it on the back of that page, but there were lines peeking through on the right side. Okay, and I wanted to show you here off screen, I had fussy cut those pieces. So now here I'm showing you some things that I pulled out. So I've got some rub-ons from that new Crafty Things collection, some paper clips, a glue stick, and here are those fussy cut pieces. And those are from Pink Fresh, their collection, if you want to pause it and see. I have my washi tape. Those are my like arty washi tapes. And then here's all my papers that I had shown you before. I'm not going to talk you through this whole thing. I just wanted to let you know that this part is where I kind of minimally decorate the pages. I'm not looking to completely decorate them. I'm just kind of looking to add some fun things to the pages, make sure they're not completely blank when I come to them later, not all of them, because I find that that kind of helps it look more cohesive throughout, and it's easier to use because I can choose to use a page that has more stuff on it, or I can choose to use a more blank page. So I'm going to let you watch me do this. This is the bulk of it, and I don't even show you the whole thing, but I will give you a flip through at the end. So I'm going to put some music on while we go through this. Enjoy! out. I'm finally done with the pages on the inside. I took a break off camera to finish the rest because I was feeling in my head about it. It's not my comfort zone. And so I really needed to take a break and step away and then just do it on my own. But before I show you, I'm going to show you a flip through of what it's like inside. I'm going to very carefully take the camera off right here. And then I want to show you the mess. Let's see. Sorry, I hope I'm not making you sick. But the utter, like, there's trash everywhere. Everything off screen. I've thrown a lot away too, but it's an absolute, I just make a disaster of everything. Let's get you straightened up. Okay, real quick. So I think it's gonna work with these out here. I wasn't sure, but it mostly stays closed. It's not too fat. That will probably change once I start putting photos in there, but we'll see. A lot of it you saw I stuck in with temporary adhesive. This adhesive that I use is very, very temporary. Things pop off. It's not one I would recommend. It's just one that I had. And I do that because until I know what I want to put on the pages, it really stresses me out to permanently glue too much down. So it's just an idea. But whenever there was a pocket, I tried to stick stuff in it. Not that that's what will necessarily stay in it. I tried to make them like make sense across from one another. So I had these bright colors here, which made the bright colors here make sense. And the bright colors on this. And this tag here brought the white across. So it helped balance the white and the cream. So this is a belly band here. So I can put things in there. And here I tried to cut out hearts like Adele from Inky Quill does, and I really need a little more practice. Granted, she probably does it on thinner paper, and this real thick watercolor paper does not help, but they're there. I made my own little tab. I like to try and put tabs so you know when things are supposed to open. Some of them I left just absolutely blank, and that's okay. Like this. I barely put anything. It's a piece of washi. So I cannot remember where I stopped showing you things, so here I covered this up so I can write on it or put a photo, and I covered that up. I just stuck this in here so I know it's a pocket. See, some are very simple. I love this butterfly playing here and this right next to it. It just makes me happy. This one, this is where I really started to struggle, and I stepped away from it for the night, and I'm still not a huge fan of the way this ended up. But that's okay. I can change it. It's just washi tape. I sometimes will put things in there. So I didn't love the sentiment here. It's not one that fit for this. It says, be the one and only you. But I really liked the way this wood grain played, especially against the neon. It was real fun. So to remind myself I wanted to cover that up, I just put that there temporarily. I love this. I backed this with book pages to make it pretty. It's pretty subtle. It says remember. I could outline it if I wanted to. Maybe I will in the future, but for now I won't. I love that this allows space here and here if I want to, and I can put more stuff in the pocket. I did try for some consistency with the threads throughout the twine. I just use a temporary thing here. I might glue this down. It's just something I found on my desk and it matched. I was finding, I have found that whenever I make junk journals, very often one or two of the pages that I chose originally to put in there don't really thrill me once they're in here. Now this is not bound, so I could take them out, but I was stubborn and I tried to make myself work with it. It was this green paper here. For some reason it just was. Every time I came to a page, I kind of came to a screeching mental stop. But I was being stubborn and tried to force myself to work with it. We'll see how it goes. Again, I can always take it out. I love this that I made. So these things here that you're seeing with the words cut out came from this. I just pulled this from my stash. It was not one of the original things. Very old. It's from Heidi Swap, her Make Pretty Stuff thing. You can see that I got it from Tuesday Mornings. Sad that they're no longer around. But they're giant tags, and some of them didn't make sense. Like that's clearly a birthday one, but having these was really helpful. You'll see them throughout. So this is the happy piece. You saw the remember piece. Now they have that curly Q style that was really popular back then that I'm not a huge fan of, but as you saw on this tag, let's see, can I go back? I trimmed it, I straightened it, and so it doesn't bother me as much. Just the top has that tag shape, and that doesn't bother me. And you'll see that again. Sorry, I didn't realize I was so low. So anyway, here's this. I backed it with my neon watercolor. I love this piece. It makes a little flap so I can put stuff here and here. Again, here's temporary adhesive, which is very temporary, also temporary adhesive. Left that blank. I put this in here. So this tag that you had seen, I just put a piece of washi tape to cover up the logo, and then I put a rub-on on top of it, and I really like that. And then I covered up this side with just a piece of scrap. That's from the belly band on the other page. So I can put something on there, and I just tossed a big chunk of this paper in there. I like having repeating elements like that throughout, and that's why pulling together some stuff beforehand really helps. And I brought this in here. It's another flap. You saw me making that. I made a little tab out of washi tape. It's just 3 pieces of washi tape folded over. This washi seems really sticky, so hopefully it stays. If not, I can always tape it later. I think this is temporary. Yeah, this is also temporary adhesive. I could paint this. I considered painting it. I was just trying to get things done though, and I didn't want to deal with paint drying and getting all the painting stuff out. So I might still paint it in the future, but you can do things like that. Just paint. I was thinking of using gouache because that and more matte acrylics you can still draw on once they're dry. I could even probably put watercolor on here. Here's another one of those. You see I cut the sides off to streamline it some more. And I really like that I left the heart blank so that I can put like a picture or something underneath it. I didn't bother covering this up. I can if I want to later. So I brought the book page across here at the bottom. Again, trying to make things relate. Some more of this. I really like this. I pulled out a lot of paper clips from my stash because this was another good way, other than the adhesive, to try and throw things in there like, hey, this works. The color is great. You might want to use it here. Not that I have to. And then that's the last one. And I love the way that this plays against this and the black, and it's just lovely. And this pocket here is for me to throw things in that I want to then put on the pages. Plus I keep this in the back so I still have this so I can punch more holes when I need to, and I know what the page size is. So that's that. Let me know what you think. I'm super excited. It is not the cleanest and most fancy thing, but I'm happy that it's finally done and ready to use. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you again soon. Bye.